Let's get stuck into Manchester United, shall we? Because there was a story today about them being confident of signing Michael Olise from Crystal Palace. Now, I think this would be a very good signing. Olise scored 10 goals last season for Palace. Obviously, it was a Palace side that improved a lot in the latter half of the season. But Olise's been a talent for a very long time and has struggled with injuries a bit.
Yeah.
And I think what we were hearing was that Palace would want at least 60 million for him. So my first question for you, Kweku, do you think that that's what he's worth?
Well, he's got a release clause. Chelsea were after him last summer.
Yes.
And didn't manage to get him, and he signed a contract shortly after that interest. And so it depends on how much the release clause is. But he's a player, I totally understand why clubs are interested in Michael Olise. He's a talisman, right? I love Eze, but I think Olise just got a higher ceiling. And for this Palace side who improved vastly under Glasner towards the back end of the season, he was the fulcrum of it. He was the reason why they were so successful. And it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. He's an interesting character, isn't he? Because we don't know what national team he's going to end up playing for, whether it's France, whether it's England, whether it's Nigeria. There's so many options, and we don't know what his future lies. He doesn't really say much in interviews, but in terms of football, he lets that do the talking, and he's one of the most talented players in this country.
When you say he's got a higher ceiling than Eze, I'm interested in this because Olise is... pardon me. Olise is 22 and Eze is 25. So is this purely based on their age or is this based on their talent as well?
It's the eye test, really. And I think Eberechi Eze is great. He's a really, really good player. But I think Olise can take that next step and go on to be something special. He's got the temperament for it. Like you say, he's been troubled by injuries, and the second half of the season was a lot better than his first half. But he's a player that, if you look at him, he can slot into any top side in the world. He can go both ways. He can finish. He's very, very definitive as well when he finishes. I like him a lot, and there's no wonder why Manchester United are interested in his services.
Well, the one thing I would say is that if I was a player right now, and I want your take on this as well, if I was a player right now, Manchester United were interested in me, I'd kind of look at it with a bit of scepticism because I'd be like, hold on. You know, who's going to be my manager? Firstly, you've got absolutely no idea at the moment. They're still umming and ahhing over whether they're going to keep Erik ten Hag or move on from that. So that's going to put you off a bit. Do you also think that any players might look at some of the transfers that have been, you know, for Manchester United in recent years, the ones that haven't worked, and potentially be a bit worried that they may end up like those players?
Yeah, well, he saw Manchester United firsthand at the beginning of May. He was the architect of their downfall when they lost 4-0 at Selhurst Park, and he absolutely ran them off the pitch. And so he will understand what the situation is in Manchester United. He can even have a conversation with his old teammate, Wolf Zaha, about what the club's like. We know Manchester United post-Fergie is not the same club. They still have the same allure in terms of the size of the club.
Of course.
They can still pay incredible wages to players that want to join there. But in terms of a team that's going in the right direction, we don't know who the manager's going to be, like you outlined. And so for Olise, he can survey the landscape, maybe give Palace another year, and then go again next summer. If you're a Palace fan, though...
If you're him, would you do that? Would you wait on this and go? Why would you do that? Why would you stay with Palace for another year?
It's exciting, the Palace. Towards the back end of the season, they were one of the best teams, if not the best team, in the Premier League in terms of form. Glasner's got them playing football right now. And they've got, I know that Mark Gurr, he's probably going to be off in the summer. He's not signing a new contract and he's probably going to leave the club. But if you look at the partnership that he's got with Eberechi Eze, if you look at how Glasner's got them set up, I think Palace can do incredible things. Adam Wharton, we've already waxed lyrical about how good he is. This is a Palace team on the up. And if Olise gives them one more season, who knows where they can finish next year? They might be pushing for European places. And so I understand that there are it's attractive to go to these bigger clubs, but he said no to Chelsea last summer, and I think he could say no to United this summer.
Did you say just there that if Crystal Palace do keep their best talent, that they could push for those European places?
Why not?
I mean, look at the form at the end of last season.
They were so good towards back end of last season. Adam Wharton's a player that people are now asking, does he start for England? We know how good Eze is. Olise is a great player. It's a team that, like I say, they've always had the streets, Palace. They've always been people's second team, but now they're actually playing football to match it. And you can understand now why the Palace fans were so frustrated with the football they played under Roy Hodgson. He's a manager that served Palace very well, but the football was archaic. And they've now got a man who's a bit more progressive in the dugout, and you're now seeing the fruits of those.
To be fair, I mean, when Roy Hodgson did come in, he did have a good second half of that season, at the end of that season, but do you see that as a different kind of kettle of fish? I would say in that little spell, the teams they were playing were also struggling.
Yes.
So do you think actually what they've got with Glasner is actually a new manager that's giving them a new identity?
For sure, identity is the key word, right? And that's why a team like West Ham, who consistently finish in the top half of the table under David Moyes, then look to Julian Lopetegui. Teams like Chelsea, who had Pochettino, who's so successful, and now gone to Enzo Maresca. Teams want an identity and a philosophy in terms of a style of play that everybody at the club can buy into. And that's what Glasner's brought to Crystal Palace. And again, pushing for Europe's ambitious, but why shouldn't these teams be ambitious? And if they want to get there, then they have to keep hold of Michael Olise.
Give us a call on this, 03717 223344. If you're a Manchester United fan, how excited would you be about getting Michael Olise through the door? I think that would be a brilliant signing for Manchester United. And if you're a Palace fan, are you a bit nervous here? Because a lot of your best talent who had fantastic ends to the season are being linked with moves away. This includes Wharton, it includes Eze, it includes Olise, it includes Gurhey as well. So as a Palace fan, are you a bit worried that if all of your talent goes, this potential that you've got at the moment with Glasner will go with it as well? What do your club need to do to potentially replace that as well? 03717 223344. Now, Kweku, very quickly as well, another name linked with Manchester United is Everton's Jarrad Branthwaite, the centre-back who did have a terrific season as well. Is he the signing, though, to bolster that Manchester United backline?
100%. If you look at Everton, it's an interesting season. Of course, we've got to account for the points deduction, but they conceded less goals than Villa, Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle, Manchester United. And despite the fact they finished 15th, they had one of the best defensive records. And that's huge part down to Branthwaite.
They just couldn't finish as
well.
They couldn't finish. That was the problem.
But defensively, they were solid, and Branthwaite was a huge part of that. He's a player that, not to go all Harry Redknapp on you, but he's going right to the very top. He is. He's a player
that... do it as Harry. Go on.
No,
do it
I'm not. Not my first radio appearance on talkSPORT. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Give me a couple more shows and I might.
Yeah, right to the very top.
You couldn't wait to get it out.
I set that one up for myself, really, didn't I?
You did. It was an alley-oop. But I think with Branthwaite, he's a player that he's progressive, right? This is a Sean Dyche Everton team that are pretty resolute in the way they play, and they play football a certain type of way. But you see with Branthwaite, he's comfortable in the ball. And one thing that really did stick out to me about Branthwaite is his comeback from that terrible performance against Chelsea, where Chelsea hit Everton for 6. He was poor in that game.
He struggled,
but he bounced back, and a couple of games later he scored a goal against Liverpool to effectively keep Everton up. He's got the mentality, he's got the ability, and like I said, I think he's going right to the very top.
Do you think there might be, though, any Manchester United fans who look at it and think, well, this guy is 21 and you're bringing him in to be one of the main centre-backs at Manchester United, and actually it's a completely different position. But when you look at Højlund, I think there's a lot of Man United fans who say, well, look, this guy has the potential, we can see that there's a bit of talent there, but at the moment he shouldn't be starting for Manchester United. Is there a danger that might happen with Branthwaite?
Well, centre-back's about partnerships, right? And if you've got Lisandro Martinez, who you can hopefully keep fit for the majority of next season, then he can be a player that Branthwaite can learn under, he can play next to and feel comfortable and form that partnership. And that's what it's about when you're a young player. You need that stability in terms of the player next to you to make sure you can get to your best level. We saw some of the best football of Joe Gomez's career when he was playing next to Virgil van Dijk consistently as a centre-back. So if Branthwaite can have that consistently at Manchester United next to Lisandro, there's no reason why he can't go to a club that size.
03717 223344. Let's speak to Luke, who's a Manchester United fan. Luke, firstly, on Michael Olise, how pleased would you be if he was Manchester United's first signing of the summer?
I'd be thrilled if we brought Olise, and I think it'd be the perfect player to start the Sir Jim revolution, shall we say. And we definitely need somebody on that side after dealing with Anthony. But I just also wanted to say, apparently he's a Manchester United fan, a boyhood Manchester United fan. There's a lot of strong reports of that. Been said
but look, how much do you buy into that, though? How much does that matter to you as a Manchester United fan if the player that you're looking at supports the club?
It doesn't matter to me, but I think it matters. Would he move this summer? Because that was one thing that you guys were talking about. Would he stay one more year? Obviously rejecting Chelsea, but if your boyhood club comes in for you, I think that might probably sway his decision. Like, he might not have the chance again. If Manchester United don't get him, have to get somebody else, he might have missed that boat. He might not get the chance ever again. And I think that probably would be enough to sway him. And maybe after seeing the FA Cup final, being a Manchester United fan has been tough this past year, if not longer, but especially the last 3 months. But that FA Cup final and seeing the everything going on, the celebrations and the way we played. And I know it's difficult with not knowing who the manager's going to be.
Yeah.
But Erik ten Hag's been very clear to say, once I've got my best centre backs, we will play better football, and that proved in the final. And I think as a player, I know we finished 8th, but we have got Europa League. We won 2 trophies in 2 seasons. Maybe a boyhood club comes in, the minimum fee release clause of reports like I said 60 million. I think it'd be very silly all round if the deal didn't get done.
Luke, just quickly, you mentioned the Sir Jim revolution. I'm not sure if you've seen this 5-point plan out today, where he's saying no signings over the age of 25, no Galacticos, and that the style of football has to come from Jason Wilcox. What do you make of that as a fan?
I think that's refreshing. I think if you look at the signings we've made, the Casemiros over the years, and I know Varane. I know we do like Varane at United, and he just can't stay fit. But these are players that we want to get rid of. We should be building something. If you look at what we've got, Kobe Mainoo. What the way he's broken into that team and where he's going. I'd start him for England. I think he's one of the missing links. I think to allow us to really go and fully attack teams, having him and Rice there and sort of holding a bit more, but. I think, with Garnacho coming through and a few more youngsters that we've got in the ranks as well, I think, building on the youth and building up, that's what Manchester United was based under Sir Alex. Growing up, that's what I saw. So, sometimes you have to get the odd big signing now and again, down the years when we got the Van Nistelrooy and those players coming in, but we've always been built on youth, really, and we've now got a team in place, that hopefully as fans we can trust to go and basically go and get the best young talent around and build something. And
Luke, it's a fantastic point there and a great call as well. Interesting that he thought that was all refreshing as well from Sir Jim Ratcliffe's big play.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.